So before I go on any further with the walls and insulation and everything, I want to get a wire set up so I can have a light in the cab that turns on when the door opens and then also be on a switch. Right now, as you can see, there's not that. What I want to do is find where I can hook that up, and I have found the circuit that I need, and I'll show you how to figure out that circuit. Is the one you want to use for the door open, light on, and the ability to also have always power on to power the light if you want it manually on. So obviously, as you can see in my previous videos, there's this big fuck off wire that goes down the sides to power all the rear lights and some of these auxiliary plugs. Now I have no idea what some of these would be for, but I have tracked down this one that would lead me to believe that it has a ground, an on, always on, and then a switched on. So I'm going to test this out and I'll show you how to figure out which is which. Okay, so when you're trying to find this, the thing you're going to want to do is close your door at first, and if you're going to use your multimeter to test a circuit, it's best not to stick your ground in there too, because you'll short it out and pop fuse like I just did. It's better to find something on the body. I have these bolts that go through to the actual chassis, so those work. I have one over here. It's just easier for me to show you. So I'll touch it to the ground, and now I'm going in the middle one, which is the green with the yellow stripe, and I'm showing 12.5 volts, so that's good. That means that's my always on. Now I'm going to go with the black with the gray, and I don't get a reading at all on that. Now, next thing you're going to do to test that circuit is pop open the door. So get that open. Get your ground back touched up. And then you want to touch that black one, black with the gray stripe, and look at that, you get 12.5. So that's going to be your illumination, your when you open the doors. That way, whenever you step into the van, you'll be able to have something that lights up in the cab, and you'll also have the ability to turn on that lamp anytime you need it. If you're just sitting in the car with all the doors closed, read a map, whatever you got to do. So that's the one I'm going to run off of. I know that that's on that switch. It took me a little while to find this, but it makes the most sense because it is the 3 wires. You could look up, on some forums and stuff like that, which wire that would be that leads the illumination, or you can just look at where the switches are and see what color that is, which is what I ended up doing, seeing that it was the black with the gray stripe that ran off of all the switches in the back door, the passenger, driver, and side doors. So I'm going to clip these off. I'm going to get those tied up to something that I'm going to then run up through that column, over through that top column, and then through the middle and out, and that's where I'm going to mount my overhead lights there. First and foremost, I want to figure out how I'm getting my wire from point A to point B to get up past this section where I'm not going to have a lot of access. And what I found I can do is take this giant zip tie and run that up through there. So I'm going to keep this bigger end down low because I want something to grab onto my wire. when I'm pulling that up through. It just gives me a little more grab when I tape that on to the wires and then the conduit. So I'm going to run the cut end up first. You know, it's really best to know your shit before you do this. So it's not a complete pain in the ass. Okay, got a hold of it, and I got it run through now, up through here. So that's my difficult section. Now I'm gonna want to run my wire up through here, and then attach to this here, and then we can start pulling it along. Once I get it up to these gaps, it's a little bit easier to make it around and kind of grab a hold of it. So I'll be able to kind of keep fishing this around, snaking it through the front. Now remember, when you're running this, you will need 3 wires. I mean, I know that seems kind of apparent, but you're going to want to mark the one. So I have this with some reflective foil on both sides, so I know that this one I'm just going to attach to the switch. So this is going to be the when the door opens, it'll give power to the unit, and you're going to want to mark that on both ends so it just doesn't get confusing. And what I did is I just ran this through this 1/2-inch conduit, taped it up, and I've got a ground. Ideally I would have had a different color, like a green or something like that, to run this one, but you know, this is the cheaper way to do it, just off of one spool. Just make sure you keep it marked. I know I'm going to want to come from all the way on the bottom up. I guess, you know, I could just come straight from here. That's actually maybe the better plan, just to keep everything kind of tied up with these wires here. So that's what I'll do. I'll run that up through there. So I just start running up this behind. That's not really making me happy, that popping through there. I think once I get up and through though. Continue running up through the column. Sorry, I'm trying to give you the best view I can. Doing this with a phone is not ideal. Keep this down. It's going to want to get caught on everything. Naturally. I've got a little space so I can pull this through. And then I'll try to give you a close-up on how I'm going to attach this. Alright, here's my dumbass trying to record this, so sorry, I'm doing the best I can. I want to take a little bit of electrical tape and then get it over this notch. Then I'm going to go behind that notch. Okay. Hopefully that doesn't get hung up too much. Get that stuff back up in there. And then gently pull this up. And make sure you're not getting caught. I know I am. Take some reaching up in there, but I'm caught. I know I am. Okay, this sucker back. Keep feeding yourself a little bit more. And there we go. Got that up through there. I'm gonna continue feeding this along, and I have a pretty good feeling I'll have to take this thing off. Let's see, I can do it the lazy way. I'm gonna kind of get a bend on this to go around the corner. Through here. Just kind of try to lead it along to get it hopefully to this hole. Ah, there we go. Got it. Lazy maybe, but I'm kind of wanting to keep these stupid things up for the time being for when I still drive it. Keep feeding. And getting around in here is going to be a blast. Which again, I'm sure I'm getting caught up on that. It's going to have to come out, isn't it? Get back with you. Okay, as you can maybe see, I did need to get past that visor. Keep feeding slack. Okay. Now to get it to here, and then what do I want to do? I can't believe how many mosquitoes are in here right now. Okay, you can see it up in there. Okay, so I am there. Okay, I mean I'm there. It's just going to be a matter of running individual wires through here now. And then when I put up the light up here, and actually there's going to be a piece that goes across. So I'm going to need to run these wires through at that point. I think I can still just try to get these through with some finagling and some strength to pull that through there. I'll probably just try to grab the wires individually. Or I can just tear the fuckers through there. We'll see. Nope, we won't. Okay, after some finagling, I did get it up through here. I just kind of had to keep twisting it around from this point till I could get just this little bit of an end on here to come through, and then I was able to grab onto that and just kind of pull the whole conduit through. So now I got my wires accessible up here. I'm going to cap those off because I don't have my light yet, and I still do need to put up the panel up here across the front of that. So, but everything seems to be pretty good run down inside here. I've got enough space and enough slack to make it to the cable. So cap those real quick because I'm going to want to make the connection in the back. Okay, so I'm about to hook up the wires for the illuminated entry. So I found that in the panel, and that's right there. So it's number 4. I know that because I shorted it before and blew the fuse. So I'll pull the fuse this time to make sure I don't do that, and then I can connect those wires to get that active. So now I'm going to take the one that I marked for when the doors open, the illumination. That will connect to what I figured out was the black with the blue stripe. That becomes 12 volt when the doors are open. So that will be what triggers the light to turn on when the doors open. This is going to be always on power that will allow for the lights to turn on whenever I flip the switch, and then of course your ground. So I'm going to strip these off, get these set, and then we'll tie those into the line coming through down in here. Okay, got all three hooked up. I can run the conduit back over it and get that tied back together. And I'll throw a piece of conduit over that as well, up over into here, and get that all tied up. I did the pull test on each. They're pretty stout. I am going to electrical tape the edges on both sides just to make sure that's secure. Alright, so now I'm going to install the overhead light. It's at etrailer.com. It's pretty cheap, but it works with the auxiliary lights, so when I open the door, the light will come on. It also has the switches, so you can turn on each light individually. So with this wiring set up, obviously you want this to be your positive. The white's actually your ground, and the black in this instance is going to be what you hook up to your auxiliary power. So I marked this. So this wire here, I marked with some silver tape, just showing that that's my auxiliary power. So when the door is open, it actually makes this active and then tells the light to turn on when the door switch is engaged. Okay, so as you can see, just pigtailed these together. Light's on right now. That one works. That one works. So now I'll try to close the door just to make sure that it actually turns off when I close the door. Okay, so it's on right now. Shut the door. And we're off. So that's a good sign. Now we just got to take off that light cover, and then that's where the screw holes are, and then we'll put that in, mount that right up there. Alright, change of plans as usual. Pigtailing them, I just wasn't super sure about the secureness of them, so I did the straight connectors, taped those up, and I hope I can fit them back in this cavity a little bit better than pigtailing them. That's just one of the main reasons I did that. I just couldn't get it to lie flush, so we'll try this. Alright, so I got it mounted now. Just those two screws in there. It was tough getting everything fit in there. I don't even know if it honestly is all the way, but trying to tuck in the wires the best I can on the outside ridges. Just with like a dime, it kind of can reach in that tiny space and push those in while you tighten those down. And then put the cover back on. Okay. Well, it wasn't pretty, but I don't know. That should be alright. I needed some light in the cab here. When you're doing stuff up front, it makes it really tough if you don't have this, so chintzy, I think, but it'll still work.